And we're live. Good evening, Americans. It is Thursday, March the 12th, 2020. So, I think everyone can agree now, since the World Health Organization has deemed this coronavirus a pandemic, that what I have been trying to communicate for the past several months in regards to this agenda that's going on before us now is indeed at least somewhat credible. We are in the bullseye of it right here in Spokane, Washington. The media reports today that King, Pierce, and Snohomish County schools will be closing. In Pullman, which is about 40 miles south of here, probably 30 miles south of here, they have declared a state of emergency. And for the most part, people continue to march on thinking that the source of this is not malevolent. And some people continuing to march on, not even thinking about the source of it at all, merely reacting to it, merely reacting to others that are reacting around them. And this is another issue that people don't see, is that the paranoia and the panic that's caused by the pandemic indeed affects those who are, not paranoid by the pandemic, due to stores emptying out shelves now. Here in Spokane at Costco, it was madness today, as I think the locals have finally got it now. My last video was 3 weeks ago, stressing that the coronavirus patients that were being moved to Spokane are part of a Trojan horse used to initiate the spread of this virus. Although Sacred Heart and everyone assured us via their teleconferences and news conferences that was not the case, and that there was zero threat to the public at all. We now have estimations of anywhere between 20 to 40,000 people infected here in Washington state. That's estimated, that's not confirmed, remember. The confirmed total is kept very, very tight by the media. It's kept very coordinated, very close, because that is the media. They have all the coordination. People must remember that the media is part of the cabal, and the media is playing dirty tricks. And it is what is not being reported now that everyone should be really concerned about, as we have unprecedented closures and postponements and cancellations in the United States in regards to professional sports, in regards to our public schools, in regards to public gatherings. The St. Patrick's Day parade was canceled here in Spokane. And while we have yet to been any confirmed cases here in Spokane by the media, I don't think that's true. I think we have several cases in Spokane that are unreported currently and undiagnosed. And it's just a matter of time before the National Guard is moving in here, going door to door with their mandatory tests and vaccinations, which I have long foretold. And ultimately, people still are blinded to the fact that this is a bioweapon. This is war. We as civilian people are at war right now. We're under attack. What more evidence do you need? I've been offering it to you for the past 9 years. But it's only when your media begins to tell you half of what's happening that everything any conspiracy-minded person has been trying to tell you for the past 9, 10 years, and even longer than that, has been alluding to, is the truth. Why would we put our own integrity on the line if we honestly thought that it wasn't happening? And as conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory becomes conspiracy fact after conspiracy fact, with evidence and admission by the cabal, the federal government, we still find ourselves unable to challenge this federal entity on grounds of its own integrity, on grounds of genocide against the civilian people, via geoengineering, via terraforming, via biological. What lawyer is going to take this case when the federal government is the same entity which controls our justice system? There is no suing the federal government. You can't do that, even as they're killing civilian after civilian. So what choice is left? The only choice left is what the patriots and the militias have been trying to stress for many years now. We must take arms to our homes. We must take up arms everywhere and remind the government we are aware of what you are doing to us via this technology that you suppress from us. We are aware that you have enslaved us to debt for at least 100 years or more with the Federal Reserve System. And we are aware that this coronavirus is a bioweapon. And it's part of not only a biological agenda of depopulation, which targets elderly people or those who may be at risk with immunities, it is also part of a psychological agenda that we are witnessing unfold before us as people panic and run to the stores and hoard toilet paper and hoard everything as they finally begin to awaken that, yes, we are under a pandemic. And whether it's a hoax, whether it's reality, whether it's fake news, doesn't matter when the federal government can still quarantine you. They can still put you under lock and key. They can still move in with the National Guard and mobilize you to wherever they want to and force you to take their tests and their vaccinations, into which you have no say at all. You have no legal representation other than yourself. It is truly akin to what happened in Nazi Germany. And it always takes a different form. We are watching this witness now. And the ripple effects are still yet to fully manifest. The ripple effects are something that people continue to downplay. So let's get into some of my independent journalism in recent days. I want to begin with the Latin word Ovid, which sounds much like COVID-19. And I quote, Ovid is derived from the Latin name Ovidus, itself derived from the Latin word ovis, which means sheep. This is Latin. This is part of the subliminal power that is held over the civilian people via the Latin. It is in a lot of legal terminology. It is on the back of every dollar bill. It is on every great seal and official document, because that is where the magic lies, is in the Latin. And as you become more wise and aware, you will know them by their fruits, and you will know this. So just interesting that we have a derivation of the word sheep going around for this bioweapon. We have a predicted 2 to 7 inches of snow in the valleys coming tomorrow here in Spokane, Washington, and a little further north of here. So another thing people are unaware of is that viruses are more likely to thrive in a colder environment, and with snowfall, they're more likely to be spread through the environment. And while it's not something that the media is really talking about yet, or the meteorologists are talking about yet, I bet they're going to be talking about it in the days to come as we have snowfall accumulations and additional concerns into the spread of this virus. This is one arm of the cabal playing into the other. The geoengineering agenda plays into the genetic agenda. It does not take a genius to figure this one out. So moving on. The NBA is closing, suspending all games, as is the NHL, as is the NCAA. At first, they were saying that the Gonzaga Bulldogs were going to play to an empty house here in Spokane. Now they're saying it's canceled completely. And the hopes of the Gonzaga Bulldogs playoffs are thus dashed. And think of all the millions and billions of dollars of fake debt money that they're going to say is going to be lost due to all the games being canceled and everything. It's quite ridiculous when you get to the source of everything. But it's a difficult truth that mankind is just now beginning to swallow as we enter another stage of the apocalypse. Myself, I am prepared the best I can here. I am dealing with a great deal of personal issues. My father passed away recently, and it has been a difficult transition into this new level of consciousness, this new life that I seem to be awakening to more every day. As I see all the signs on the wall, all the writing around me, yet the majority of those who I speak to remain blinded to it. At the same time, I do see another side of this. I see more people awakening to it. And people who are panicking are at least awakening at some level, realizing, oh my goodness, I need to do something because the government's not going to help us. The government plays both the savior and the hunter, and that's how they have deceived people from the beginning of time, under one form or another. Trump has suspended travel from Europe to battle coronavirus. He did not suspend travel to the United Kingdom, however, because he says the Britons are doing a good job of controlling it. This is just part of the allied nations. That's all that is. But think about all of the mail that's going to cease coming out of there. That's another thing that people aren't really talking about yet, is what if the postal service comes to a close? At that point, a lot of people are going to be dependent upon utilities to payment online. People who don't have that, who've been sending checks, which are still a great many people in this society, are either going to be shut off or they're going to have to pay the amount when order has been restored, which is, again, it's all built on this foundation of debt, which is lunacy. We cannot continue to sustain this. The stock markets reflect it. That's the next aspect of today. The stock markets have been taking a massive hit due to all these, this psychological operation, this biological operation, this bioweapon, if you will. And we have the crypto markets also taking a massive hit today. The crypto markets took a huge hit in 2018, 2019. And again, we see it here. I think Bitcoin was down almost 40% at one point today. It's an absolute massacre in the crypto markets. So that'll be another ripple effect. Many things have shut down in China. Who knows if the media is telling us what's the truth? The only tool we have is our own discernment to compare many sources of media, not only national, not only local, but also international, that at least we are filtered to see. And a lot of that media, you will be able to find things that you wouldn't find in American media and connect some of the greater dots of what's really going on here. Harvey Weinstein indicted for his gross demeanor and what he was doing. That's another ripple effect. There's going to be a lot more arrests that people see coming. And as more people get caught up in the coronavirus, they're going to be blinded to everything else that's going on around them. And it's going to happen very quickly. And I cannot stress enough, prepare in any way you can. Your time grows short. The bitter truth that people have been, deluding themselves into believing for the past 250 years is now crumbling. The foundation is crumbling because there's a foundation built upon tyranny and debt. So moving on to my next article here. Italy has abandoned us. People are being trapped at home with their loved ones' bodies amid coronavirus lockdown. So it's becoming, at least this source of media, which is the Washington Post, is reporting that the situation is becoming so dire in Italy that people are trapped inside with decaying bodies of their loved ones. Now, if this is true, this is absolutely horrendous. And if it's happening in Italy, this is a plague. This is not a pandemic. A pandemic is what the media, the government, this is the term they use. The term is a plague. That's what this really is. And because of national security and all of the politics involved, the word that they choose to use is pandemic. And isn't it interesting how one word can just trigger people just like that in so many different ways? So if that media is true, the situation is becoming very dire in Italy. Concerning the economy itself, inflation will skyrocket because the New York Federal Reserve injected 1.5 trillion into the markets today amid the chaos. The markets are still down. The debt money, 1.5 trillion, is just going to be printed and the taxpayers are going to have to pay it, the debt slaves. And inflation is going to go up anywhere from 10% or more due to this agenda that has been orchestrated from the very beginning by the federal government themselves, who have sold out the civilian people. We are at war as civilian people, and many are still completely blinded to this. We are being attacked by a bioweapon that many people cannot comprehend. They're like ants on a hill, unable to comprehend what is truly happening around them, only able to see what is right in front of them. And the Trojan horse that I called 3 weeks ago here in Spokane, it's happening. It's a very bitter time that's coming, and the ripple effects will be many, as I continue to say. But we are in the bullseye of it here in Spokane, Washington, and I can guarantee everyone I will continue to independent journal everything. I will not stop my journalism. If we are end up quarantined here, I will continue to journal that until such a point that they decide to either cut my utility or my internet service. And I will continue to keep people updated with everything I can from Spokane, Washington. I think the death toll here in Washington now has exceeded 30. Just days ago, I believe it was 9. It has not slowed down. And that's another thing that is absolutely terrifying to so many people about this is it has not slowed down one bit. It's not being either addressed properly or it's being spread through other means that people can't comprehend. It's all arms of the cabal that are coming together to initiate this agenda against the civilian people and the common people of the world. Need you any more evidence? The coronavirus targets elderly. It targets people who have compromised immune systems. These are people who are listed on the red file at the UN, Agenda 21. But if you become aware of it, if you connect the overwhelming amount of dots, and you have the education, how can you even challenge it? How can you pursue it? You can't, because the same justice system, the same federal entity which enforces that, is the same that is initiating this agenda. And the militia knows this. The militia is going to be the only entity that helps civilian people in this coming civil war. So that's about all I have for today, everyone. I know there's a lot of others like me out here who are starting to get this new realization that this is a pandemic, as the media says, but it's actually a plague for anyone who's actually aware. And the school closures here in Washington State continue to move east progressively, as I predicted. It's going to start in the more populated counties, then it's going to move east into our counties. I've been talking about the bug out plan quite a bit with everyone I've organized with lately, and they're still afraid. They're still worried. And I tell them, when I give you the call, it's time to go. There's going to be no more questions asked, and we will go. And I will try to journal that the best I can. But at times I'm feeling more and more like Anne Frank in Nazi Germany. It is truly come to that now, everyone. And that's why I'm in my fatigues, as I've said. The last number of videos I've done since I felt this clandestine war has been initiated against the civilian people, I've been in my fatigues because I understand we are at war. I understand the hunt is going on right now. You would do well to understand it yourselves and educate yourselves of it. So please heed my words, heed anything I've said today. The situation continues to become more dire as the media reports it. What the media is not reporting is what you should be more concerned about. And until next time, be safe, everyone, and be intelligent.